Well, welcome to another Bulblog video diary supplement, garden walk. I'm going to look at the garden at quite late into November, so it lets you see what the garden looks like at this time of year. Still the leaves coming down. Every time we get some leaves tidied up, there's another lot come down. We have the trees, these Acer palmatums. Sorry, Acer japonicums. They hang on to their leaves later than many, but they're starting to drop now. About half of them are down. Of course, the conifers are great because they hang on to their leaves and give us interest. So we have the bonsai. They sit near the house where I can see them from the window where I sit to work. But as we walk up, you can see everything's starting to shut down for the winter. It really is quite chilly today. Hope my hands aren't shaking too much with the cold to wobble the camera, but nice yellow leaves on some of the dwarf salix. Over there we have the Eucomis bicolor going down. The Asplenium ferns seeding around. They'll stay green all the winter. And as we walk up, you can see gradually we'll tidy the beds. We'll get the leaves lifted, the old foliage cut back and taken to the compost. Already we're seeing new growth. So this is old growth of one kind of Corydalis. Down there, that's the new growth coming up. That's Corydalis crate in purple. That's its new foliage. It went dormant towards the end of the summer. We still have some seed pods. Regular readers of my weekly Bulblog will know that I quite like to just let some plants seed around. So that's some of the lilies, Lilium McCliney. In amongst the foliage. Some areas I will, the smaller leaves, just will blow them up onto the beds under the shrubs and allow them to become a natural mulch. In other areas we'll take the leaves away. We'll come through the gate in the pond area. More trees in pots here. More bonsai. The pond with the primulas at the far end in seed. Around here what I call the new bed by the pond. Everything's going down, but already there are, if you get down very closely, there are little signs of the spring growth waiting. Well, it's not even the spring growth, it's the late winter. Because there'll be stuff coming up here in January, depending on the winter. January, later in January and into February, we'll start to see the start. So we don't have long to wait. Moving through the rhododendrons, sitting flower buds ready. Cyclamen leaves will be with us all the year round. More dwarf conifers. These are some of the true dwarfs, because both of these are some 30 years old. But where I really want to head today is down to the bulb houses. Just to spin around as we walk towards the bulb houses, looking back over some of the areas. the spring bed here, which is I've started to tidy and mulch with some shredded leaf. But let's come into one of the bulb houses. This was the Fritillaria house, now it's the sand bed. So it's starting to come into growth. We've had crocuses, we've had sternbergias already. There's a lot of narcissus to come. There's a few narcissus. This was not the first, this was, I'll go down to the first sand bed I started. This was later when I started to learn from the mistakes of my first one of not planting stuff too densely initially and giving plants space. And this gives us flower for at least 9 months of the year, I'm sure. I'm just compiling a sequence of photographs of it through the year to show how often we will actually have flowers. And I think there's only about 2 or 3 months when we don't have a flower. So we've got the first of the narcissus in here. You can see the sticks along the end. We have tropiolums. There's Tropiolum tricolorum and Tropiolum azurium. You can see the growth going up there already. And I've wire mesh for it to cling to. And I just stuck some old bits of wood in to give it something a bit more natural to climb up. Just for an aesthetic, to see how it would work. So down here there's some crocus, but most of the crocus have gone over. Here there's a tiny, look at that for a tiny snowdrop. So there we have the second bulb house. It was more floriferous a wee bit ago with the crocus and the sternbergias. It's in a bit of a lull as the narcissus get going. But as we come around past some of the other beds, more cyclamen. I love this, the cyclamen coming through the mosses. The cyclamen don't seem to mind, neither do the other bulbs. They don't seem to mind the moss. But like everything in the garden, all the time, everything's an experiment. So I'm going to come round and look briefly into the bulb house where we still have everything growing in pots. And you can see some narcissus coming here. So this is a Narcissus hybrids. These are mostly hybrids. Come along here. Here's the first of the trumpets. This is Narcissus Cedric Morris. And a really nice Narcissus bulbicodium. If we look here, I just want to show you, to compare and contrast these two pots here. You can see the buds just sitting there. Still quite tight bud. That's one of my own seedlings that I'm calling Craigton Chalice. And I'll show you it as I move along here to the other bulb house where this original sand bed was. This is an overflow sand bed. It wasn't really intended, but I ended up with thinned out bulbs. Pots of seeds. You can see the new seedlings, new Narcissus seedlings, and then we've got 1 and 2 year old Narcissus seedlings, some snowdrops. But where the most flower is at the moment is in this, the U-shaped sand bed. And this is where the majority of the flowers are just now. This was the original sand bed, and gradually I've been thinning out areas. I lifted this area this summer and took more than half of the bulbs out to give them a bit more room. You can see how crowded they become. Now most of these, this is the bulbicodium section, and a lot of these are hybrids. I'm looking to see what I can see. So this is the one that was called Cantabricus foliosus, or if it's Mike Salmon calls it Albidus foliosus. But whatever, it comes very early, and that's one of the parents of a lot of these plants. We have others that start to look a bit more like a pale bulbicodium. But if you remember Craigton chalice over in the pots in tight bud, here it is here. And it's been out for some, oh, maybe we're into at least its second week now. I don't know if this will focus well enough for you to see why I call it Craigton chalice. It's got this very chalice shaped like a cup. It's very distinct, because when you look across all these narcissus, there's all subtle variations. There's many different hybrids here, and many look the same. And wherever you look, you're looking for ones that stand out. And I think that's what we need to do when we're naming. So Craigton chalice does stand out to me. There's another one here, I can see it instantly. This is over here, this is another Craigton chalice. And there's another Craigton chalice. But there's such a range and such a variation. They're just little sweeties, and I love them all. And when you think that we've got this in flower in November, and if I just move in before I finish off the video, look at all the buds still to come. So it's not as if this is a flush and then they disappear. We will have flowers in these bulb houses now, growing in sand all through the winter until the spring or the late winter, when the flowers in the garden start. So it's a great place to have our winter garden. So thanks for joining me again on my bulb log video diary supplement walkabout. I'll see you again when I have something more to share with you. So goodbye.